They tossed it in the trash. Others are hoarding it by the crate. And if the winter of 2025 turns out as strange as some experts are warning, storms that feel biblical, blackouts that stretch for days, this so-called junk could be the only thing keeping you alive. I'm not joking. Number 7 on this list will send you running to the nearest store before shelves are stripped bare. I spent 3 weeks digging into survival briefings about Noah's winter, going through Red Cross archives from the biggest blackouts, and even lurking in private prepper circles where seniors trade survival hacks too real for TikTok. And what I found was chilling. This isn't your grandma's stock up on soup and crackers advice. These are battle-tested tricks from people who actually lived through Texas's grid collapse, Quebec's ice storms, and the Midwest blackout of 2024. They've already survived the worst. Now they're bracing for something stranger. In this video you'll discover 12 bizarre but brilliant items that vanish off shelves in less than 72 hours whenever disaster hits. You'll see why a $1 grocery item you probably threw out last week could be worth more than gold. Why wool socks could save your life while a $300 power bank sits useless. Why cash suddenly becomes your lifeline. And number 11, so simple, so old school, is already saving lives in -60 Alaska for less than the cost of your morning coffee. Let's dive in. Because when the power goes out, when the snow piles high, and when the grid collapses, these little-known survival hacks may be all that stand between you and disaster. Item 1. Cold, hard cash, the silent lifesaver. Forget your cards. Forget Venmo. Forget Apple Pay. When the lights go out, the only thing that works is real paper money. Seniors already know this, which is why many of them stash small bills, 5s, 10s and 20s, in places you'd never expect. Not hundreds, not fancy banknotes. Just practical, spendable bills you can grab when your fingers are numb and nothing else is working. Why does this matter? Picture Texas, 2021. 5 days without power. ATMs locked up. Card readers dead. Banks sealed tighter than a submarine hatch. People without cash were left begging strangers to accept digital payments that simply wouldn't work. And you know what? A snowplow driver doesn't care about your PayPal. He wants paper in his hands. That's why nearly 3 out of 4 seniors keep at least $300 in small bills tucked away, not because they're paranoid, but because they've seen what happens. They hide it in fireproof tins, in jars, even in places so obvious you'd never think to look. Pro tip: never the sock drawer. Mold, moisture and misery are waiting for you there. Keep it dry, keep it secret, and keep it within reach. Because when your generator dies, when your phone's a useless brick, and when the storm feels endless, this humble stack of bills will be worth more than gold. Item 2. The ugly candle that saves lives. Forget those $28 lavender-scented candles you show off on Instagram. They won't keep you alive. What seniors stockpile are thick, ugly, no-frills wax candles. The kind that burn for 12 hours straight and smell like nothing at all. They're not pretty, but they are powerful. During outages, candles are more than light. They're heat sources, sanity savers, and tiny flames of hope when everything else fails. LED lanterns? Great, until the batteries die. But wax candles keep burning, no charging required. The Canadian Red Cross reported that nearly 70% of seniors relied on these during blackouts, not for romance, but for survival. One clever hack: place them inside mason jars. It reduces fire risk, keeps the flames steady, and creates a surprising amount of warmth. When the batteries in your tea lights are dead on day 3 of a blackout, these cheap candles are still burning. Stack them like bricks, keep them ugly, keep them cheap. And when 2025 brings its ice storms, blizzards and rolling blackouts, that stash of wax will separate you from the unprepared. Fumbling in the dark. Item 3. Plastic bags. The survival secret nobody talks about. It sounds ridiculous. Grocery bags. Really? But don't laugh too fast. Those flimsy, crinkly bags that pile up under your sink are survival gold. Seniors hoard them in glove boxes, in freezers, even behind toilets, because they know in a real emergency, these bags are worth more than you think. Pipes burst? Wrap them in layers of plastic for a quick fix. Sewer backup? Line your makeshift toilet. Drafty windows letting in -30 winds. 8 layers of plastic, and suddenly your living room feels survivable. They become makeshift gloves, ice shoveling helpers, even emergency food covers. In survival forums, this is called plastic bag wizardry. Thousands of people swear by it. The truth is they cost nothing, take up no space, and last forever, if you keep them dry. And in a world that's freezing, chaotic and pitch dark, That humble stash of bags could be the difference between comfort and misery. So laugh now if you want. But when the world outside your window is buried in snow and chaos, you'll be glad you were the weirdo with the bags. Because in survival, function beats fashion every single time. Item 4. Instant coffee, the unexpected armor against winter. Not the fancy oat milk latte. Not the $12 pour-over from your favorite cafe. I'm talking about that dusty jar of instant coffee sitting forgotten in the back of your pantry. Seniors buy it by the case every fall, and trust me, they're not doing it for the taste. They're doing it because when the wind outside is howling like wolves, when the lights are gone, when your toes feel like they've turned to ice cubes, that gritty spoonful of instant coffee can feel like magic. One scoop.
Hot water. A mug.
That's it. In the middle of a blackout, when the world feels broken, a hot cup in your hands is more than caffeine. It's sanity. It's proof that you're still in control. In fact, a 2025 winter briefing on mental health reported that nearly 9 out of 10 seniors relied on a warm cup of coffee to get through blackouts. Not blankets, not soup. Coffee. Forget espresso machines and dead outlets. Forget baristas snowed in miles away. Instant coffee doesn't need electricity, doesn't need fancy creamers, doesn't care how many sweaters you're wearing, just water and a spoon. And here's a secret prepper hack: mix it with cocoa powder. Sounds strange, but it turns into what survivalists call crisis chocolate. Ugly, gritty, but it keeps your brain sharp when everything else is falling apart. Keep 3 jars, 1 in your kitchen, 1 in your car, 1 in your go bag. Rotate them so they don't turn into bricks of brown cement. Because when your phone is dead, your house is freezing, and your dog is wrapped in sweaters, that steaming cup of bitter coffee isn't just comfort, it's armor. Item 5. Wool socks, the ugly heroes of survival. Forget the cute fuzzy socks with glitter threads you post on Instagram. Forget cotton socks that feel cozy but betray you the second they get wet. Wool socks are the real heroes, and seniors know it. They buy them by the dozen, because when your house loses heat in a storm, your apartment might as well be the top of Mount Everest. Here's the brutal truth: cotton traps moisture and steals heat from your body like a vampire. Wool, on the other hand, is stubborn, thick, and refuses to quit, even when it's soaked. Canadian hypothermia studies prove it. Wool retains heat 3 times better than cotton. That's not a suggestion. It's the difference between freezing feet and frostbite. Seniors hoard them. Some pairs are decades old, stretched out, scratchy, smelling faintly of mothballs and determination, but they work. Buy at least 10 pairs, not 2. Layer them if you need to. Sleep in them. Keep a pair in your car, 1 in your coat pocket, and 1 under your pillow. I've even seen people wrap them around their hands as makeshift mittens while repairing pipes mid-storm. When the grid dies and your smart home becomes nothing but a frozen box of wires, wool socks will be the last line between you and hypothermia.
Ugly. Yes.
Life-saving, absolutely. Item 6. The manual can opener, the twirly metal hero. When's the last time you even touched a manual can opener? Most people don't even have one anymore. They rely on sleek electric models, mounted under cabinets, humming quietly until bam, the power dies. Then what? Suddenly all those cans in your pantry are as useful as bricks. Seniors, though, they keep the old school kind. The clunky, twirly, slightly rusty crank opener that looks like it's seen World War II. And when the blackout comes, that piece of metal becomes priceless. During the 2024 Ohio ice storm, thousands of families sat in cold kitchens, staring at unopened cans. Some tried smashing them with hammers, stabbing with knives, even gnawing with teeth. Seniors? Click, crank, dinner is served. No batteries, no electricity, no problem. Pro tip: keep more than one in the kitchen, 1 in your emergency kit, 1 in the car. Test it once a year. Don't cheap out on the flimsy dollar store kind that bends after 2 cans. A sturdy one will outlive you. Rust doesn't matter, it just adds character. When the phones are dead, the stove is cold, and your dog is looking at you with sad, hungry eyes, that little crank and wheel dinosaur will feel like the best tool you ever owned. Item 7. Batteries, the forgotten lifeline. Think you're prepared. Maybe you've got a 2-pack of AAs for your TV remote, a few AAAs for your kid's toy. Cute. Seniors laugh at that. They've got entire shoeboxes filled with batteries, neatly organized by size, labeled, and rotated like military rations. And there's a reason: when winter hits hard, the things keeping you alive won't be plugged into a wall, they'll run on batteries. Flashlights, smoke detectors, radios, especially the old AM/FM models that still catch emergency broadcasts when cell towers freeze. These are your lifelines when everything else is silent. During the 2024 Northeast blackout, families who had batteries stayed connected, stayed informed, stayed alive. Families who didn't, they were cut off in the dark, with no idea what was coming next. Seniors don't gamble on that. They stockpile, they rotate, they prepare. Because they know batteries are more than little cylinders of power. In the middle of a blackout, they're hope itself. Remember this: during the Northeast blackout of 2024, the only way people knew what was happening wasn't from apps, social media, or push notifications. All of that was useless. The only lifeline was a crackling voice on a battery-powered radio. Through the static came simple but life-saving words: boil your water, stay inside, wait for help. That voice was powered by batteries bought years earlier, tucked away in a coffee tin, still working when everything else failed. Here's the scary part: 1 in 3 Americans under 40 doesn't even know what kind of battery goes in a smoke detector. Seniors, they tape the spares directly to the device, so they're ready, no panicked fumbling in the dark. They stock them all: AA, AAA, CD, even the flat 9 volts for carbon monoxide detectors. And they rotate them every 2 years, even if they still look fine, because cold drains batteries faster than you think. That's the difference between generations. Younger folks wait for the storm and pray Amazon delivers. Seniors stock up in July, hide them like treasure, and know exactly where they are when the lights vanish. Because in the silence of a blackout, those tiny cylinders aren't just power. They're peace of mind. They're armor. Item 8. Paper maps. The old school GPS that never fails. Yes, I said paper maps, the kind you haven't touched since high school, or maybe never unfolded in your life. We live in a world where smartphones do everything, until the day they don't. And when satellites glitch, when GPS freezes, when solar storms scramble signals, you'll be glad you've got creased paper instead of a dead app. Seniors keep them tucked in glove compartments: state maps, county maps, even decades-old versions that still show ghost towns. And here's the kicker: scientists have warned that extreme solar activity could knock out satellites across multiple states. Translation: your phone might try to lead you into a frozen pond or a cornfield with no road in sight. This isn't hypothetical. Just last winter in Vermont, drivers blindly followed GPS into unplowed back roads and ended up stranded for 18 hours in sub-zero cold. Meanwhile, seniors pulled out maps, traced a safe route back to a plowed highway, and made it home before dinner. Paper doesn't glitch. It doesn't freeze. It doesn't need Wi-Fi or satellites. Keep one in your car, not buried under fast food bags, but accessible. Highlight major highways, circle gas stations, jot down notes, tape it to your sun visor. Laminate it if you want. Because when the grid goes dark, that outdated crumpled map becomes the single most reliable guide you have left. Item 9. Hard candy, sweet survival fuel. Forget fancy chocolates, sugar-free gummies, or overpriced gourmet sweets. Seniors stockpile the cheap, sticky, old-school hard candy, the kind that melts slow, sticks to your teeth, and tastes like childhood nostalgia with a side of regret. But they don't buy it for fun, they buy it for survival. Here's why sugar is fast energy. In freezing conditions, when hypothermia creeps in, when panic drains your body, when your hands are shaking uncontrollably, a quick sugar hit calms your nerves and helps you think straight. One woman in Maine admitted that during a 4-day blackout, she survived almost entirely on peppermints. And she's still alive to tell the story. Hard candy doesn't spoil. It doesn't need water, fire, or cooking. Just unwrap and suck. It's emergency fuel for your body and comfort for your mind. And it works on kids too, keeping frightened grandkids calm when the world outside looks terrifying. But here's the catch: never go sugar-free. Your body needs that real glucose kick to fight the cold. Keep multiple bags, one in your coat, one in your car, one under your pillow. Because in the silence of a blackout, with no heat, no phone, and no connection to the outside world, that little butterscotch disc in your mouth is more than candy. It's hope. Item 10. Vinyl gloves, the unsung winter shield. Not latex, not nitrile, vinyl, cheap, disposable, and life-saving. You probably bought a box once, for cleaning, or maybe when you tried making sushi. Seniors, they buy them in bulk, hundreds of pairs tucked away in kitchens, garages, even winter coat pockets. Because here's the truth: when winter hits, everything gets wet, sharp, and dangerous. Pipes burst, snow melts into icy puddles, railings freeze solid,